We start on first news this morning here in Nigeria and sharing with you some of the stories that we can find. It says withdrawal limits, National Assembly, CBN governor set for showdown. There's also a story concerning the DSS that I saw in the news yesterday. But of course, they're still in Nigeria. Of course, as reps order Apex Bank to suspend policy and suspend Godwin Emefiele, the CBN governor, the Central Bank of Nigeria governor. It says no going back on cashless policy. CBN governor insists, warns Nigerians to deposit old notes in banks. PDP crisis. Rivers government alleges plots to blackmail Wike for leading G5. And also polls. INEC knocks Tinubu over comment on e-transmission. Unaudited accounts. Reps panel indicts NNPC, CBN, and others. I feel like the day that Nigeria as a country would decide to do a proper audit of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. A proper audit, an honest audit in the last decade or in the last 2 decades of the NNPC.
There will be an unveiling or an opening of the Pandora's box.
Listen, it would be, I don't know, but I feel like the day that we finally decide to do that, ooh. Oh, anyway. We're under pressure to compromise 2023 elections, says the military. And also forgery. Court convicts ex-minister Oga and others arrest imprisonment. Nigerian army running secret mass abortion program, says Reuters. Reports evil and concocted, says the military. A few others. DSS gives NNPC and oil marketers 48 hours to end fuel scarcity. That's the story that I read. Yeah, I found pretty interesting. Or what?
That's a very valid question.
Yeah,
or what?
And then, does the DSS speak to those who are causing hunger in Nigeria also? What else do they think they want to end in Nigeria aside for scarcity? U-Tide, second Niger bridge to be open to traffic for 30 days, says Fashola. And finally this morning, Bayelsa government gives account of flood donations as DIRI directs fresh distribution items. These are the stories that we can share on the first news this morning.
All right, let's still stay within the nation, Nigeria, and see what the front pages have to say. On the front page of the nation, the big story says, INEC ordered to list Ogun National State Assembly LP candidates. And we also have Emefiele review of cash withdrawal policy likely. Now, yesterday we talked about it and how they were going to appear before the Senate. And we're seeing that there might be a review of this withdrawal policy. 1 trillion naira mopped up. Reps invite CBN, governor wants plan suspended. I'm sure that there are many people advocating for this. At the bottom of the paper, NEDC kicks off building of 12.5 billion naira abandoned 54-kilometer road. Osun APC not opposed to reconciliation with Aregbesol's men. We also have here at the top of the paper, Siemens transformers arrived to boost electricity supply. Gunmen steal 4 babies in raid of hospital. No place is safe. Osauge, they are now stealing babies? Went to raid the hospital and then stole 4 babies? How do we explain that? And I think this is also a reminder that we must start to prioritize security, not even in the most unlikely places, right? Typically, the houses of worship were consecrated. You would never imagine that someone would desecrate a place of worship. Now they've branched into hospitals. It could be markets tomorrow. So it's just a reminder that we have an insecurity problem, and that the places that we would not think that normal human beings would go and strike are even the places that are, in some cases, the most vulnerable. How do you go and steal 4 babies?
It really just tells you, how much we've lost with regards to our humanity and, the level of hunger, the level of desperation, the level of, insanity, that would, that exists in different parts of, the country and, of course, in different spheres of life, in Nigeria. And nowhere is safe. I personally don't even agree with the narrative that, if you want to do crime, do it in this part and leave the other part. Don't do it at all. There's nobody that deserves it. And so there's no, it makes more sense if you do it, to these, places or in these parts, leave the church out of it. Nobody, deserves to be attacked by criminals or attacked by gunmen. And so it's really just, more of, calls to the Nigerian government to fix security, really.
Very important. Another thing would be how organizations also need to prioritize CCTV cameras. And then this whole NIN issue, and I'm wondering, how the collection of data would help in the fight against corruption. I'm wondering how much impact it has had so far. Because you still call some of these customer care networks, and when you call them, they're asking for your name. And I'm thinking, did I not register NIN? Is it not showing on your screen?
I think they're trying to be sure that it's the owner of the line that is calling.
Well, fair enough. Okay, 2023, 5,676,585 PVCs collected in Lagos, says INEC. Rivers government alleges plot to blackmail Wike over G5, and the plot thickens. Two more stories. Petrol crisis must end tomorrow, says DSS. NNPCL 1.9 billion liters available, like Osalge said. And what if it doesn't end? We hope it will end. But I think it's gotten a bit better. The queues have not been as
I noticed.
intense as they've been in the past 2 weeks. CDS era, but military won't be pressurized to compromise 2023 polls. That's all we can take on the nation.
All right, let's move away from Nigeria now and see what's going on in Kenya this morning on the Daily Nation. It says there, MPs in a fix over opposition office. And, I think these are stories from yesterday. We're going to have to fix that, on the screen. That's a wrong paper from yesterday. It says on the Daily Nation, I probably would just share the updated version of the Daily Nation. It says World Bank's bittersweet pill for Kenyans, and that's the right one. It says the lender has proposed a bag full of sensitive reforms to spur Kenya's economic recovery, handing President William Ruto's regime some tough choices for fueling growth while safeguarding investor confidence and appeasing a restless population scorched by the high cost of living. You can find more of that on page 7. And also, Kusi Ideas Festival opens with call for more climate funding. Why Raila called off his parallel Jamhuri rally. If you remember, we spoke about this earlier this week. And also, school heads to wait longer for transfers back to home counties. A few others, audit projects in Uhuru's last term, MPs demand. And also thoughts on stepping into retirement. That's a very important conversation for everyone who is approaching retirement. Or maybe you're just getting into that age. But these are the stories on the Daily Nation this morning that we can share.
All right, now moving over to Namibia, let's see what's happening in Southern Africa. And on the front page of the Namibian newspaper, SWAPO faces court challenge over changed CC list. 2 law firms approached over 21 candidates being replaced. Man denies guilt on 4.3 million Namibian dollars forex scam charges. And at the top of the paper, there's a cartoon here. An interesting cartoon on page 11 says, "Shame on city councillors." Oof, okay. If you want to find out why they're giving them shame, check on page 11. And the final story here, Namibia seems to be in support of what's happening in Indonesia. We're seeing Namibian churches praise Indonesia for making sex a crime. Asian nations ban adultery, that's sex between unmarried people. It takes away the adult person's right to decide when and whom they have sex with. So, we never really gave our opinions on this. And whilst, they're talking about, the Christian faith, and it's okay for you to embrace your faith, right? I'm Christian and my faith says that it is wrong. You shouldn't have premarital sex, right? But people should not be, I feel that the continent, no, it's not a continent anyway, the country, the world is sometimes deprioritizing the more important things and prioritizing the less important things. Now, in the sense that, I don't know about criminalizing it. Criminalizing it might be a little too extreme, looking at the way the world has gone and the fact that there are people who want to travel there. There are people whose faith doesn't consider it a crime. But then again, they would argue, in the UAE, there are certain things that the world considers normal that in UAE you would consider illegal, and if you did them in the UAE, you would commit a crime. Anyway, let us know what your thoughts are. It's a very dicey conversation. Is it okay? Do you think that it is okay that the Indonesians have now banned premarital sex and made it a criminal offense? Not just outlawed it and said, okay, it's wrong,